Janice, are you there?
At your service, sir.
Enter the manosphere.
Of course. How can I assist you today?
Give me some of that dating foolishness.
Will do, sir.
I'm going to tell you guys the story of how I lost I was 18, we had just graduated, so we were at a graduation party, and my high school situationship picked up me and my two best friends and their boyfriends and took us back to my friend's house. We went into her brother's bedroom, made out a little, and this is where it starts to get good. I just laid there. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, had maybe kissed like 2 boys in my life at this point. So after about 30 seconds, not exaggerating, he pulled out and said, "Oh no, the condom broke." And little 18-year-old me was like, haha, definitely was not on birth control at this point. He could not get out of bed fast enough. He got dressed, put $50 on the nightstand, fist bumped me, then asked me to walk him downstairs and out through the front door so he didn't have to pass my friend's mom alone, which was a really humbling experience for me because she knew exactly what had just happened. The $50 was definitely for plan B, but instead I just bought my friends and I breakfast the next morning, and you would think that I never talked to that man again. No, I did. I continued to sleep with him for years after that, and it never got any better.
Run! Get to the chopper!
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. We just did a video about a behavior scientist turned dating coach, and in that interview, she explained why women are addicted to toxic men and toxic relationships. In this video, we're highlighting some clips to show you what this addiction looks like. Now, before we get into this, let's tell you about the sponsor of this video. Red Pill Mentor Tokyo is a content creator making research-based videos who has covered a wide variety of topics, including a series on the link between female breadwinners and divorce, women's plausible deniability losing power due to men's intellect, and more recently, the deepest dive into why simping fails as a mating strategy. He's also the author of a short ebook titled the quote-unquote "Where Have All the Good Men Gone?" hypothesis, which goes into research on how the shifting of the gender academic gap combined with women's hypergamous nature results in women's unrealistic expectations of men and an increase in divorce when she is the breadwinner. See the links below to find his YouTube channel and the ebook titled the quote-unquote "Where Have All the Good Men Gone?" hypothesis. Now let's get this highlight reel started.
You ever thought that being a lesbian is easier than dating men? Let me tell you something, you're wrong. The situationship I've been in for about 10 months is trying to convince me that the very obvious couples post of her and her ex at a wedding is platonic. And I am crazy for not believing that. Literally, her arms are around her. And when I confronted her, she was like, "I knew it was gonna be an issue." What? You guys think it's only men that do the whole like, yeah, I did something wrong, but I didn't expect you to react to it? No, mama. No. So now me and her ex are talking tonight to compare timelines, because shit is not adding up. Don't be a liar. Just don't.
Call me crazy if you want, but I've never liked store-bought pesto.
Susie, you psychopath. You couldn't have waterboarded that information out of me. Okay, but here's what I did that was crazy. So for a while, I was seeing this guy. In my head, we were dating, but reality, it was more of a situationship. We were not exclusive. But I was obsessed with him, mostly because he didn't want me, which is my biggest turn on. But I was obsessed with him, and I was very jealous. I was always like, is he hooking up with other people? Is he hooking up with other people? Right, bad. So one day, I do spend several hours blocking every single person that he follows on Instagram. That way, whenever he followed somebody new, I could see, because it was like, if I blocked everybody on who he follows, then whenever he followed somebody new, they would show up, right? So it would go from like 0 to 1. And the context is that he doesn't really use Instagram that much. So like when he does follow somebody, it is significant. Like I follow 1,000 people, he's not like that. So like a new person showing up is a big deal in whatever way. Like a month goes by after I do this and he hasn't followed any new bitches, but one day, yep, who he's following count goes from 0 to 1. He's followed somebody new, and I do have to call my mom because I'm having a panic attack, but whatever. But I'm like, who's this girl? I'm freaking out, right? And so she was very beautiful, but she did look very young, and like just based on conversations that he and I had, I knew that he wouldn't go below like 24. I mean, maybe he was lying, but just in my head, I was like, if she's under a certain age, like this isn't a flirty follow. So I make it my mission for the next like 6 hours to figure out how old this girl is. I am stalking this girl so hard. Let's call her Jenny Schaefer. I'm stalking Jenny on, I'm looking for her LinkedIn. I'm looking for her Twitter. I'm looking through her Instagram for graduation posts or birthday posts, whatever. I'm just like, girl, when were you born? But nothing, no dice. I go to Jenny's tagged photos on Instagram. Based on context clues, I figure out who her best friend is based on frequency of posting and caption content, right? So I find out who her best friend is. Now I'm stalking her best friend. I'm going through all of her photos, whatever. I go through her tagged photos. I'm going back and back and back. And finally, I find that this girl, the best friend, was tagged in something from an account called Smith Memes. I'm making up the name Smith, but it's like I go to the Smith Memes account, right? And I go back on there. I'm stalking that account. And through context based on who's following it, based on some other like references, I'm like, maybe Smith is a high school. So now I'm trying to Google like Jenny Schaefer Smith, like trying to see, and I'm using different versions of her name, like longer versions of her name, like different, whatever, combinations of words, Jenny Schaefer, Smith, whatever. And finally I find a local suburban newspaper that says like Jenny Schaefer, sophomore on the junior varsity soccer team at Smith High School, like leads the team to championships or whatever. And I'm like, okay, boom. So then I go to Jenny Schaefer's, go back to her Instagram, the original girl's Instagram, and I go, and sure enough, she does have soccer ball emojis in her bio. And then I scroll in like the news portion of Google, and I do, in fact, after a while, find pictures of Jenny Smith playing soccer for this high school team. I go back to the news article, like the suburban newspaper article, and I see the timestamp, and I'm like, this was 2 years ago. So now at this point, Jenny Schaefer is a senior in high school. No way, okay? And then my jealousy was abated. Well, it was abated until the next girl he followed on Instagram, which he did end up dumping me for, and then they just hard launched on Instagram last week. So, it's cool. But Susie, the pesto thing is such a red flag. They should lock you up. Yeah.
Look at the excitement. She is so excited to tell and share this story. This is what it's all about, fellas. Check this out.
The partial reward schedule is so addictive. That's also how slot machines work. That's how gambling works. Sometimes I get what I want and sometimes I don't, so I want to keep trying and I want to keep trying. And that's what's happening with fuckboys. So fuckboys give you attention in the beginning, right? You get what you want, they seem interested in you, you go out. Then they start pulling back. They're hot and cold. Sometimes they're interested, sometimes they're not. And you become addicted to that partial reward schedule. Well, this time when I press the lever, will you text me back or not? And it feels really exciting. And so securely attached partners are the levers in the first one, where their interest in you and their love in you is continuous. And that's what we should go after, because that's what a healthy relationship is. But people get so addicted to the fuckboys and to the partial reward schedule that they're trapped in this cycle. And so our brains are really develop in this way where when we don't know if we'll get what we want or not, it's really exciting. But that's not what's aligned with long-term relationship success.
There is just something about my face that prompts men to say the most unhinged things to me. Example number one, one time I was dating a guy, he did awful things to me, like legitimately awful. We're talking about it at one point and he goes, yeah, I guess I just want to say that like, I knew that everything I was going to do to you hurt you, but I was doing it to make sure that you wouldn't like fall in love with me. And you know what I did? I said, thank you. I appreciate that. At the point, another guy looks at me and he goes, I would love to date you. It's just that like, I think I would like fall in love with you too much. And like, I don't know if I'm in a place where I'm like ready to like commit myself to someone. And I'm like, why the fuck are you unhinged then? Another guy, first date, he looks me up and down. He goes, I know that you're going to be the mother of my children one day. And I go, oh, wow. And he goes, and I know this because looking at, I know they're going to be great for my kids.
I am going to expose one of the worst text messages that I ever got from a guy ever. This is hella embarrassing, but anything for you guys. So I wrote this person because they had been ghosting me for 2 weeks or something after we talked every single day and we shared some classified explicit information, if you know what I mean. So I wrote him and I said, okay, can you tell me why this became a 1 message per day, once a week thing? You're making me feel really bad about myself and I hope you're happy with this. That was really petty. I admit it was super petty. He replied to this and he said, hey, how are you? I have some guests over, so I'm pretty busy at the moment. That's all. That definitely wasn't my intention. I'm sorry that you feel that way. You might think, Stella, that text is super nice. He was apologizing. He was saying he's sorry. That's great. Guys, please, that text is screaming, I don't care about you at all. Not only did this person, he did not talk to me for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I don't even remember, and left me on red and basically left me hanging after the most late night conversations ever, where we stayed up till 6 a.m. for weeks at a time. And he completely deprived me of my sleep schedule. Admittedly, I also deprived him. But he says, sorry, I had guests. Oh, you've had guests for 14 days straight and you were not on your phone? Because you're on your phone 24/7. And a text back takes how much? 20 seconds. He did not want to text me. And he's like, that was not my intention. No, it was your intention to ghost me. It was your intention. You should have just said, sorry, I'm not into you anymore. That's it. But he was like, no, that was not my intention. I'm not the bad guy here. The worst sentence is, I'm sorry that you feel that way. No accountability, no responsibility. Just, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Because you're crazy. You're nuts. Everything is just in your head. Well, thank you.
What's hard is that we often confuse secure people for boring.
Run! Get to the chopper!
Manosphere, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.